How's life today? I hope it's going well. The beginning of your week here. That it's just an awesome day for you. That's full of life and excitement and everything that you want out of life. I hope it's going just super. I love the personalities. You hear me talk about the personalities. I enjoy figuring out the personalities and looking in and saying, hey, the great thing to me is helping people and not only being authentic myself, but seeing other people being able to be authentic in who they are, as well as to recognize this is what motivates me and demotivates me. This is how I can manage myself. Hello, Roland, my friend. Happy Monday to you. I hope that you're doing well. But the personalities, you can recognize what motivates, demotivates you. Then you can learn how to manage yourself for, to maximize your potential, to be your best self, to have success, your definition of success. And then as well to recognize the people around you and manage those relationships to help the people around you be their best and feel fulfilled. So my wife and I, we have 4 children, and of course they all have their different personalities, and my wife and I, we have our different personalities. And our one daughter, our oldest, put out a graphic last week about the strengths, self-starter, motivator, visionary, risk taker. They make decisions quickly. They're fast thinkers, take action. They like to lead and be in charge. Well, that's one of my daughters. And, we're always trying to help our kids be their best and, to grow up into great adults and people who are going to give to the world around them. And you have your challenges with your kids, right? Trying to help them learn to do the right things and to lead successful lives. And so with her, she has that strong self-ego. It's a strength of the personality, that D personality, if you're looking at the DISC personality profile. So she feels, she has the answers, that she knows what is right. That personality struggles to feel like they're wrong, and they like to have the answers. They fear being taken advantage of, losing control, losing choice. So my daughter, she thinks she knows a lot of what's going on, and which will help her in life when she manages it, right? But one thing is, we're always trying to improve a relationship, and so we're having a challenge where she learned that we've helped her over the last few months understand that she can get upset. That strong personality can, when challenged, can be confrontational and challenging and kind of disrespectful sometimes. So she's learned, okay, when she becomes frustrated, especially with us as parents, that it's okay for her to take a minute to ask to walk away, to have some space, just to calm down so she can respond in a more respectful way and an empowering way for her. Because obviously if she communicates disrespectfully to people as she's continuing to grow up, to friends, to colleagues, and ultimately to her husband when she gets older, it strains relationships, right? And you can't accomplish as much. But the one challenge we were having, my wife was having, is that my daughter would walk away to cool down, but then wouldn't come back, would struggle to come back and apologize. And so then we'd have to go, which is because of that personality, they already can struggle to apologize if they're not self-aware. They can, they struggle to feel that they're wrong, that they don't have the right answer. But she was aware of that, but she still wouldn't, we had made her aware of that, obviously, but she still wouldn't want to always come back and apologize. And then we'd have to address that with her, which would cause more frustration and conflict again. So we're trying to figure out what can we do. So I go through the personality profile with her and say, okay, hey, this is, your strengths. This is some areas that you'll have constraints, and some areas of where when it's a fear. So if you feel like you're being challenged there, you will react without thinking about it. And we went through that. And as we had this discussion, this is what we realized. When she would come back to apologize, my wife, wanting to make sure, being more of a relational side, wanting to connect, would go into an explanation of why she said what she said and did what she did, that it wasn't an attack against my daughter because my daughter's personality was strong, and she would explain the whole side. And what we realized is the deep personality, of course, they don't like a lot of details. They want you to be brief and to the point. They want you to not repeat yourself, to not assume, to not give information without facts backing it up, you know. So you can't bring assumptions and things like that. And so what was happening when we went through the profile, and my daughter explained, every time I come back to apologize, then my wife is going into all this detail and explaining why, you know, why she was disciplined in this way and why she can't react like this, and why my wife had disciplined her in the first place. And that was actually frustrating the personality of my daughter. And so then we'd go into, then there'd be another conflict. And so then my wife realized, okay, when she comes back, what I think was actually building our relationship by explaining why we were doing what we're doing and why you can't act that way, that all my daughter needed was to her just to accept her apology, that my daughter would know that she was wrong, that, you know, and she'd come back and apologize and be able to move on. But the extra information and those details were, again, frustrating the personality of my daughter. And so that just helped us to connect more and say, okay, we can work with that. You know, you still can't behave any way you want. My daughter knows that. But she's also learning that we learned that when she comes to apologize, that, again, where you think you're helping, you're actually doing the complete opposite by bringing those too many details to that personality. And so recognizing the personalities, recognizing my wife's personality, she realized, hey, I want to go into detail. I want to, you know, work with this relationship. I want to make you to feel okay and know where I'm coming from, was frustrating the other side. And so just the strength, being able to recognize, okay, this is who I am, this is who the people are around me, this is what motivates them and doesn't, and then making sure that you know, you operate in those different arenas, can motivate your coworkers, can motivate your wife or your husband, can make them feel engaged. Your kids, you know, I love working with that with my kids and understanding which one needs the extra encouragement, which one, you know, the daughter I was talking about, my oldest, when she has a chores to do, we just give her the whole list. This is what you need to do, figure it out. And she'll go and figure out what time she's going to do it, how she's going to do it, when she's going to do it. My other daughter, who's second in line, she is the flip side, and I will talk more about this personality later, but she's more of an S personality in the DISC scale. And they like the systems given to them. They like to, you know, step by step, what must I do? If I do that to my oldest daughter, that's too many details, frustrates her, because she's the type of personality who will figure it out and come up with a plan. But my second daughter, she becomes overwhelmed when you say, hey, look at all this, your room is a mess, you need to clean it up. She becomes overwhelmed and soon starts taking everything out, you know, of her closet and her drawers, her desk, and starting over, and it takes her like almost a whole day because she pulls everything out. So I've learned, I go in and I take one section at a time and say, okay, hey, how about we do this section? Work on your desk first. What are you going to do here? We talk through it a little bit. And I say, let me know, come back to me when you're done with that. And then I walk out, and then she goes, works on that, and comes, when she's finished, she'll come out and I say, okay, next section. And when I break it down, that is motivating to her. That helps her not to become overwhelmed. It propels her. She can be her best. She can enjoy doing it instead of being overwhelmed and actually creating more work for herself by pulling this out. So key, realize yourself, the way you want to speak and act, and the way you see things, and know the way you're communicating, and then recognize the people around you so you can communicate in their style. Because if you have employees or coworkers or team members or whoever, and you're giving them all those details and breaking it down for the system, and you're frustrating their personality. You're actually beginning to get reactions, or they're withdrawing, or they're coming into survival mode because you are stepping on some of their authentic strengths, some of their personality that they want to express. Flip side, if they're one who needs those details and those systems, and you're just laying out the big picture, they're standing there overwhelmed. They're not producing for you. They're not bringing about the results. They're not accomplishing the projects, the goals, or the work because they're feeling overwhelmed. So recognize who you are, what motivates you, recognize what motivates them, the people around you. So I'm going to continue to put out more of those graphics on, the next personality, on the strengths, on the fears. If you touch the fear, you get a reaction. So the more the fear you touch, the more you drive a person into reactionary mode, ultimately survival mode, and you're not getting their best because they begin to think about, how can I survive as an authentic human being to be my true and best self? And every time this person or this situation is pushing on my fears and challenging me, it becomes an unsafe zone for that person. And so they step into survival mode. And then recognizing their strength and pushing the people into their area of strength. So again, that first one, it was a motivator, self-starter, risk taker, visionary. They see the big picture. They like to think quick, act quick. They're good taking action. They're driving things forward. They're great leaders as far as they like to take the front and motivate people and drive people to accomplish the goal. They focus on tasks. They're motivated by the goals and the tasks and getting things done and seeing results. If they aren't seeing results, they become frustrated. And so make sure they're in a position of where they can produce results, see results, where they can motivate and lead people, or they have the freedom to take choice, make decisions, and have choices on what needs to be done to produce the results that are needed. The dominant fears are being taken advantage of. When you remove the choice, or you box them in and continually tell them what to do and how to do it, they feel taken advantage of. The other thing is removing their choice, lack of choice or control. So when you have them in a very controlled environment, that is touching a dominant fear, because they want the ability to make choices and have some sort of control. So it doesn't mean that if you have a D personality working with you or for you, or they're your kids, or you're leading a group with them it doesn't mean that they have the freedom to just run wild, because that can also destroy your company or bring chaos to their lives or the family or whatever. But give them a set of choices. You can give parameters, or still allow choices to be made, but say choices within this area, especially for kids, but also if you have employees, say, these are the choices that need to be made, and allow them to choose within there. Don't limit them too much. So one of my other children, my youngest child, he's also a strong D personality, and so we constantly come and say, he's 4 years old now, and it's, do you want to wear this or wear that? Or are you going to, sit in timeout? Or are you going to clean up your toys? We give him choices, and then we say, these are your choices. You choose. You get to choose. Which one would you like? What result would you like? Would you like to sit in timeout, or would you like to clean up your toys and be able to play? And so we give him choice. And he always comes now to my wife and I, and he'll come up when we say, okay, it's time to do something. What are my choices? Do I sit in timeout, or do I go and do this? Or so he knows, and he talks in the language of choices. He speaks in the language of choices, and so he's motivated all the time to bring up choices and choose that. So just a few tips here on working with the D, the strong, highly motivated personality, the risk taker, the visionary, the one who's who fears being taken advantage of, also control and choices. So strengthen your relationships, strengthen yourself, motivate yourself, and go and get it. Have a great day, Roland. James, my friend, how are you, my brother? Have a great and successful day. And to the rest of you out there, thank you for tuning in I hope this gives you some tips and tools to motivate yourself, to motivate those around you, your team, your husband, your wife, your kids, your employees. And if you need any tips or you have any questions, please ask me, let me know. I'm happy to give input to help you and empower yourselves and those around you. And I'm also have a course I've pretty much completed that I want to do to help families to recognize their kids, the motivating factors of their kids, and create motivating environments for their children. So not just pushing them out of fear of discipline or forcing them to do what needs to be done, but actually creating motivating environments according to their personalities, and helping them step into that, just like we did with my oldest daughter. We do with all our kids, but what we've learned and put into action here. So have a great day, have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Enjoy.